Let's return to Down the Stretch on SiriusXM Radio.
It must be very exciting to be at Parks Racing or watching the racing from Parks today for the fifth race, 5.5 furlong sprint, and a couple first-time starters, Megan's Angel and One Tough Rose. And Bob Hutt, who's the managing partner for the Uptown Charlie Brown Stud LLC, is joining us right now. You got a few people excited, Bob?
I think we do. We're going to have a lot of people out there today. We have about 500 partners in our 41 Uptown Charlie Brown Stud partnerships.
541 partnerships?
541 partnerships.
Wow.
And we're going to have a large turnout today to come out and see Megan's Angel and One Tough Rose make their debuts.
Both of them running, too?
Yes.
Both of them.
Both will be running.
And Bob, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bob.
No, I was going to say One Tough Rose we know is a sprinter, and we have a feeling she's going to turn out to be another Uptown Charlie Brown's very good sprinter. And Megan's Angel appears to be a router, but I've learned from last summer when we thought Lula's Roadrunner was a router, and she debuted and won a 4.5 furlong sprint and then went on to be stakes place, that until you run them, you just never know.
And, Bob, I think you're being too modest because checking in with you yesterday about this segment, I think you're going to sit in the visit the winner's circle today at Parks, huh?
We sure hope so. I never take anything for granted, but the way especially One Tough Rose is trained, I think she's going to run very, very well.
And Bob, these horses look like they've been working in company and the times are the same for both of them. So how have you and Eddie Coletti, your trainer, been able to ascertain that one you think is going to be a sprinter and one you think is going to go long?
Well, it's quite simple. I try to educate our partners by telling them when you look at workout times, that's not the end all. Ed Coletti believes very firmly in that horses should go slow early and finish fast, and he tells his riders to make sure they stay together. So when you see times that are nearly identical, the riders know which one has more in the tank, and if we ever let One Tough Rose just open up, she'd be gone. And we just want them working together, and just the way they stride and the way they're made up, Eddie feels pretty confident that Megan's Angel, who is a very nice horse too, is a router, and One Tough Rose is a sprinter. She's a full sister to Charlie Brown's Rose, who was stakes placed, and we see big things for One Tough Rose. We really do.
Now, Bob, the good news is you are the managing partner of a stable that's just going great, winning left and right, and you are also the managing partner of a sire who is at $7,500, is one of the great bargains in horse racing. I mean, the stats that you've shown me about him and the return on investment so far as, what these horses are doing on the racetrack, et cetera, is just incredible. I mean, there are $100,000 sires that don't have the kind of record he has, and the big but is Pennsylvania, and you've been very open about your feelings of how upset you are and disgust you've been over the governor's proposal to take $204 million out of the racetrack development fund. And, it goes without saying why you'd be upset, but why don't you just give us your feelings on the whole situation?
Well, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding to the public, and as we all now live in the fake news generation, Governor Wolf came out by saying, who would you rather fund, failing horse racing and breeding or education? Well, in itself, everybody would say education, but he left out a few facts. The money he plans to take doesn't belong to the state. It's not tax revenues, but rather money earned by the horsemen when we partnered with the casino industry. And if I may, without horse racing, there would not be a casino industry in Pennsylvania, as the law states that there must be live racing. So, in effect, we became the business partner of the casino industry in which we get a percent of their revenues, not state tax revenues. And back in 2017, Governor Wolf signed off on the bill that made this a protected trust fund. So they are not state revenues where the state is giving us money, but rather that's the horseman's money, and it's protected. And without live horse racing, there is no casinos in Pennsylvania. And about 20,000 jobs are at stake. Breeding, racing, agriculture, farmers, machine equipment, and 100,000 acres of protected Pennsylvania land. We contribute $1.6 billion, that's a B, to the Pennsylvania economy and pay about $68 million annually in taxes. And we've been having rallies, and both Democratic and Republican legislatures are very upset with the governor's plan. The health education is a great thing, but not at the expense of putting more than 20,000 people out of work and bankrupting them. And it affects a lot more than just the horsemen.
Bob, one of the things, Bill and I have been talking about this situation in Pennsylvania during commercial breaks before and after the show. And one of the things that we talked about as a possibility was, did this governor throw out this huge amount of $204 million out of $250 million just to try and get some money out of the pool, even though he's not entitled to any of it for other uses? Is it a ploy?
I don't think it's a ploy. I think the governor knows full well what he's doing. And I don't think this is a Democratic, Republican type issue. I just think he's very short-sighted in that he wants to put, for some reason, horse racing and breeding out of business. And the economic devastation to the community in Pennsylvania is just too much to imagine. And let me give you an example, and it's going to be out of the air, but we had a rally the other day, and one of the people that showed up, and I certainly don't know the person, is involved in mushrooms. And he got up at the rally and said that the mushroom industry in Pennsylvania is $700 million, and they depend on fresh horse manure to fertilize their mushrooms. Where are they going to get it? So it's not just the breeding and racing industry that's going to be affected here, but it's going to be all across the board. And if people lose their jobs, go bankrupt, property values will go down when homes are foreclosed. It's a very, very frightening situation. And the worst part, Pennsylvania is one of only 2 states in America that has had the best growth in the last 3 years. We've been up 47% as far as the brood mares. We have new exciting stallions coming into Pennsylvania all the time. And the governor's tried to portray us as wealthy people. Well, maybe in Kentucky where stallions stand upwards of $200,000. But here in Pennsylvania, our top stallions stand for $5,000. And I think there's just 5 of them, one of which is Uptown Charlie Brown. And we're not wealthy people. We're hardworking men and women that contribute to the economy. We pay our taxes. And most of the people that have breeding farms, where are they going to go? They're middle-aged to senior citizens. They have no other skills. They're going to go on the unemployment line. And Senator Tomlinson said it correctly the other day when I heard him on another radio show, that basically maybe the governor doesn't understand, but he's stealing horseman money that we're in partnership with the casino, not tax revenues.
Hey, Bob, we're going to be taken off the air in about 25 seconds by the computer, so let me wish you all the best of luck. We'll be following the Pennsylvania story, of course, and the best of luck today with Megan's Angel and One Tough Rose and all the other syndicates of Uptown Charlie Brown. Thanks for being with us, and good luck today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Bob.
And I appreciate everything.
And that music that you hear means that we're going to take a break, and it's time for some paying of bills by SiriusXM. And we're on 211 here every Saturday morning from 10 until 1. We hope that you'll join us for the next 2 hours. We've got some wonderful guests, and we'll be talking about Sam Hughes.